Digging up some painful memories here. Start, bench, cut. Worse, Georgia Tech loss 2005, 23, or 25. Well, that would be 24, I would assume. So I don't recall the 2005 game. Of course, the 23 game is infamous. And what I remember, other than the obvious, we all have seen the play about 800 times, but that I do a call-in show right after the primetime games. And of course, that was, I believe, an ACC network game.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really on my radar because there were maybe 3 or 4 other more prominent games, but I, as always, kept my eye on it. But I am recording everything. And so it was one of those deals, like when you check the score, that it goes to double zeros and it's showing that Miami won the game, but it's double zeros, but it's not putting the final up there and it's just sitting there. And then the score changes and it's like, what happened? And then I was like, okay, this show's got to wait for 10 minutes because I got to see what happened. And then I watched it through. And then, of course, the 2024 game was really good game in Atlanta. If you're just looking to watch a college football game, I believe that was a noon game. I enjoyed that one just from the standpoint of just watching a college football game and not caring who won.
Yeah. So as Mark was talking, I had to go back and look up the 2005, even though that was my student teaching year and whatnot. That was Tashard Choice running for 84 and a touchdown, Reggie Ball, and Calvin Johnson, 6 catches for 89 in that game, with Charlie Jones at running back for Miami, Kyle Wright at quarterback, Quadrin Hill, Sonoris Moss, and Darren Thomas running the ball, with Ryan Moore, Buck Ortega, Lance Leggett, and Darnell Jenkins with the receptions for Miami. You didn't say. So if we're going start, bench, cut so start would be the worst of these, bench would be the second worst, and cut would be the third, the least bad of them. I would say 2023 with the not taking a knee has to be the worst. I would say 24, last year's game, second, because Miami beat the dog shit out of Georgia Tech, except for they won every single third and fourth down on both sides of the ball. Like, it was incredible. The way that the efficiency that they had in all of those moments on offense and defense. Like, it was terrible. So I would say 23 was the worst, 24. So start 23 is the worst, bench 24 is second worst, and then cut 2005, which was terrible. I mean, Reggie Ball, as you see on the screen, went 11 for 30 in that game, and they won. But Kyle Wright went 14 for 31. And everything. It was bad, but like you could talk me into, especially with the state of the program at the time, you could talk me into the second worst of those being the 05 game that, the scorebook is on the screen there. But yeah, worst was 23, flip a coin between the next two, but I would lean 24 just because it was like, this was just a bad game, slop in the mud all of the way. If you look at the box score, and I know that all of the numbers aren't, what determine, the game. But if you look at the stat profile from this game, it wasn't close. Miami was just so much, but in the moments that mattered, those big points, if you're, my mother is really into tennis now. Apparently she's really been into tennis my whole entire life. Who knew? Not me. But so she plays tennis a lot. So we're talking about these big points. And, Roger Federer, he gave a commencement speech somewhere, and he said, I only won 55% or 56% of the points that I played in my entire career. But when the big points happen, the ones to win games, to put together sets to win championships, in those tough, big moments, I won like 80 or 90% of those points. And that was Georgia Tech in this game. Miami did pretty much whatever we wanted, but third and fourth downs on both sides of the ball, like they just owned those big moments. And yeah, so that's my answer.
So from an embarrassment standpoint, obviously the 2023 game stands out because everyone was talking about it because just of the unusual circumstances versus the other two just being close losses that other college football fans just looked at as, okay, that was a close game. That was a good game. That was a sloppy game, whatever. It was a close game. Yeah. Miami lost versus, okay, this is on like news channels that do not talk about sports.
Right.
But the other differentiation from the other side is that Miami team was not going anywhere. Obviously, there was a playoff on the line last year, and obviously that was the first loss of the season. And then also this 2005 game, had they won Miami, they came into the game number 3 in the country, and they would have been 9-1 at that point.
Damn, we were that good then. Yeah, okay. So given the context,